Picture this. It's the 80s. Moms, cops, and preachers are losing their mind, swearing that Satan's in your D&D dice and heavy metal tapes. Kids get locked up and lives get ruined. All because of a panic that sounds like the plot of a bad horror movie. Hang out with me for a few. We're looking at the Satanic Panic tonight. Stick around, this would make a great comedy plot if it weren't true. How's it going, friends, comrades? Dave. I'm the average fat guy, you're whoever you are, and this is the one about the Satanic Panic. You've all been loving the 27 Club curse videos, but I ran a poll this week, and as it turns out, you'd all like some fresh material, so we're going to look at something just a little bit different. It's in the same kind of conspiracy, weird vein, but it's just a little bit different than the 27 Club here. So like I said, it's a Satanic Panic. That weird little time in the 1980s and 90s when America put on its tinfoil hat and started hunting for devil worshippers in daycares and Metallica riffs. No crazy exes here, just pure, unadulterated what the hell. You can expect fear, bad ideas, and me getting just a little nostalgic for childhood trauma. So let's crank the hysteria without further ado. Now what in the fuck is that? Whatever. Oh, so, okay. Our story starts in the early 80s. America's buzzing. Reagan's in office. The Cold War is simmering nicely. And everybody's got cable, so we're all doing well. Then bam, 1980. Michelle Remembers drops. It's a book written by a lady named Michelle Smith. Her and her shrink claim up they dug up some repressed memories. These memories, and I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to give you the only trigger warning you're going to get this entire video. We talk about some dark topics here. I'm not going to go into any real gory detail or anything about it, but it does get dark, and some of the darkest dealing with, children and things. So if you're easily triggered by that type of thing, then this might not be the one for you. So that's your warning. You're an adult. You do you. So, like I said, they claim they dug up some repressed memories, and these were memories of satanic rituals and like up to and including baby killing. We're talking about the worst of the worst. And they did all this through hypnosis, of course, because that's legit. The book sells big. We're talking like, Oprah at her height type vibes here. No proof at all, but who gives a shit about proof? People eat it up. It's flying off the shelves. You also have to look at it through the perspective of the news anchor and executive type of the time. Never let a good panic go to waste. We have a 24-hour news cycle, and we also have, daytime and morning talk shows to fill. I mean, we've got money to make here. Let's milk this cash cow. Satan! At the same time, religious folks, think Bible Belt preachers, they start freaking out over metal bands and, Judas Priest, Metallica, people like that. They start freaking out over metal bands and D&D and, all of the more weird and esoteric occult type stuff. Anything that could be construed as esoteric or dark, it was definitely satanic. And I speak from, unique experience yet again here, growing up partially during the time and in an area that was fraught with evangelical Christians. I grew up in an evangelical Christian church, and so, man, we heard about it. So, you'll get some nostalgia out of this one. I never joined a cult, but, now that I think of it, you started one about conspiracy theories and, Kraft peanut butters, I'd probably join. By 83, it's a wildfire, and daycares start to get hit. McMartin Preschool in California is the poster child for satanic activity at the time. Parents say teachers abuse kids in secret tunnels underneath the daycare. Secret tunnel. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Parents say the teachers did rituals on these kids in the secret tunnel. These are all based on recovered memories coached by therapists with absolutely no chill. So the cops dig up the schools. Surprise, surprise, there are no tunnels, no bodies, just dirt. But the case drags on for 7 years to the tune of $15 million with not one conviction. If X Post existed, they would have fucking blown up at the time. No, Satan's everywhere. Sorry, I don't know what happened. No joke, though. The statistics of the time in the 80s, a little over 70% of Americans believed in secret cults. So this ain't, I'm trying to make light of it, but this ain't no joke here. I'd believe in Bigfoot before I believed in devil cults. And like I said, it's not just the schools. Heavy metal's blamed. I mean, it takes a seat at the front of the class for this one. Ozzy bites off the head of a bat, which does not help matters. Judas Priest gets sued, and I think Ozzy got sued at the same time, too, for his song Suicide Solution. I wrote a paper about that one in college, too. People claim that the subliminal messages within the songs are causing children to commit suicide. Spoiler alerts, they lost the lawsuit, handily. But the stink of that lawsuit, it don't wash off. When I was still going to church in the early 2000s, we were getting 2 or 3 sermons a year on the dangers of heavy metal music and things like that. So, I mean, like I said, this satanic panic was still alive and well in some areas, especially in the evangelical world in the South. Teens get grilled, the whole line, if you play D&D, you're cursed or possessed or what have you. No shit, cops start occult training. And you can go to YouTube and find these videos of how they find, how to spot satanic cult members and evidence of satanic cult activity in an area and things like that. The videos are fucking wild. And of course, kids at the time thought it was funny, so they start drawing pentagrams everywhere. So we weren't helping. I wasn't around in the early 80s, but in the 90s, we weren't helping. And then you get things like the West Memphis 3. Let me know if you want a full video on that one. But in 1993, there were 3 teens that were jailed for murders on very, very shaky satanic evidence. And they were freed years later. And there were thousands of people accused of different types of satanic activities and rituals and murders and things like that at this time. And I mean, these folks had their lives absolutely ruined over this. I mean, people, therapists, teachers, randos, it was a modern day witch hunt, and people just got absolutely destroyed with, hearsay and bullshit. It was such a big deal. The Satanic Panic with the music thing in my day was such a big deal that, no joke, we would record metal songs like Metallica or Judas Priest or what have you on innocuous tapes. Things like, I had a Ninja Turtles soundtrack to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That's how old I am. And I recorded some ICP songs in the middle of that tape so that my folks couldn't find it and trash my tape.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
So, that's how wild it was. We were hiding music like it was drugs when I was a kid. Oh no, I dropped it. Or I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. Whew. So by the mid-90s, it starts to fizzle. And even I witnessed this firsthand. The FBI digs in, and in 1992, they really... Fuck me, what happened? Did I have a stroke? Okay. By the mid-90s, it starts to fizzle, and I saw this firsthand. The FBI releases a report in 1992 that shows absolutely no solid evidence, or no evidence at all for that matter, of any real satanic network. I mean, obviously you've got, edgy teenagers that draw a pentagram on their forehead or whatever, but there's no satanic network. It's all just hype. It's just people making stuff up, witch hunt style. And science starts to catch up at the same time. We discover that, surprise, surprise, recovered memory is coached stories. The stories start to fall apart, as they do when you find out that, it's bullshit. And the world turns. Metal is still metal. D&D is still nerdy. It's nothing changed other than a few people's lives. I say a few, a lot of people's lives got ruined. Actually, I should make a Kool-Aid reference. Oh, yeah. So why did it all blow up in the first place? It was fear. I don't have an interesting conspiracy to give you here about a crazy ex paying somebody off. All I have is just, kind of a case study in how things get blown out of proportion. It was fear of commies and change and the excess that everyone was living to in the 80s. And when you add that with bad TV and even worse books, you get this weird Kool-Aid brew that everybody starts drinking of. Like this video if you got the Jim Jones reference. It was also Flavor Aid, not Kool-Aid. So what do you think? Was it some sort of jinx or was it just a mass hysteria? Sure seems like mass hysteria to me. That's sort of, oh, just chewed on my beard on fucking camera. That's the overview of the Satanic Panic. I'm not going to start it now, but eventually I'll probably work in a Satanic Panic series because there are a lot of kind of building blocks that add up to this. There are a lot of big, notable stories within this one larger story. And so, I'll probably dig into some of this stuff in the future, especially if you all want it. So if you would like some expansion on some of this Satanic Panic stuff, drop me a comment down there. You've been on YouTube before. You know what to do. And, like, comment, subscribe, do all that sort of thing. Big hair and Satan, man, the 80s was crazy. It was crazy. If you've got another mystery or conspiracy theory that you'd like me to dig into, drop it down in the comments as well. I love, getting into the stuff you all like. I've got some cooking from comments that I've received, so they're coming down the pipe. If you've made a suggestion, never fear. It just takes me a while to research it. I'm old and fat and slow. But with all that said, I'll be back next week with another video. We're going to look at Christian Path of Whole for the 27 Club continuation. That's going to be a pretty interesting one. I think you guys are going to like that one. I'm the Average Fat Guy, and remember, if you're ever listening to an old Ozzy tape and you hear some voices that ain't Ozzy in the background, it ain't that deep. It's probably his backup singer.